Hi there, my name is Mr. Pete. I'm a fourth grade teacher, and I'm reading Louis Sachar's Holes. We are just about to start part 2, The Last Hole. Still have about half of the book to go. Interesting. The Last Hole. Right now, you should be making predictions. What does that mean, other than the obvious? What is the last hole? Chapter 29, we start off in book 2. We have Hector and Stanley working together. We know that Hector, Zero, is a Zeroni, and we know that Kissin' Kate Barlow died after getting bit by a yellow-spotted lizard. So there you go. We've been learning about these yellow-spotted lizards. Maybe this is why. We also know that Trout Walker and his wife were both looking for buried treasure, and they thought that Kate Barlow could help them find it. Linda Walker was a student of Catherine Barlow before she became Kissin' Kate Barlow, and she was looking for it as well. So as we jump into chapter 29, you can sort of start to see where we're going with this. Why are they digging holes? Who are these people? How does it all connect? Let's get going. There was a change in the weather for the worse. The air became unbearably humid. Stanley was drenched in sweat. Beads of moisture ran down the handle of his shovel. It was almost as if the temperature had gotten so hot that the air itself was sweating. Okay, so first thing you want to do is go back to where it says there was a change in the weather. Highlight that. That's foreshadowing, especially where it says for the worse. Foreshadowing things getting bad. You also want to highlight it was almost as if the temperature had gotten so hot that the air itself was sweating. That's personification and hyperbole. We're starting off with a bang, no pun intended, here in chapter 29. A loud boom of thunder echoed across the empty lake. A storm was way off to the west, beyond the mountains. Stanley could count more than 30 seconds between the flash of lightning and the clap of thunder. That was how far away the storm was. Sound travels a great distance across a barren wasteland. Usually Stanley couldn't see the mountains at this time of day. The only time they were visible was just at sunup, before the air became hazy. Now, however, the sky was very dark off to the west, and every time the lightning flashed, the dark shape of the mountains would briefly appear. "Come on, rain!" shouted Armpit. "Blow this way!" "Maybe it'll rain so hard it'll fill up the whole lake," said Squid. "We can go swimming." 40 days and 40 nights, said X-Ray. "Guess we better start building us an ark. Get 2 of each animal, right?" "Right," said Zigzag. 2 rattlesnakes, 2 scorpions, 2 yellow-spotted lizards. The humidity, or maybe the electricity in the air, had made Zigzag's head even more wild-looking. His frizzy blonde hair stuck almost straight out. The horizon lit up with a huge web of lightning. In that split second, Stanley thought he saw an unusual rock formation on top of one of the mountain peaks. The peak looked to him exactly like a giant fist, with a thumb sticking straight up. Then it was gone, and Stanley wasn't sure whether he'd seen it or not. "I found refuge on God's thumb." That was what his great-grandfather had supposedly said after Kate Barlow had robbed him and left him stranded in the desert. No one ever knew what he meant by that. He was delirious when he said it, but how could he live for 3 weeks without food or water? Stanley had asked his father. "I don't know. I wasn't there," replied his father. "I wasn't born yet. My father wasn't born yet. My grandmother, your great-grandmother, was a nurse in the hospital where they treated him. He'd always talked about how she'd dab his forehead with a cool wet cloth. He said that's why he fell in love with her. He thought she was an angel." A real angel? His father didn't know. What about after he got better? Did he ever say what he meant by God's thumb, or how he survived? No, he just blamed his no-good, pig-stealing father. Who is the no-good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing great-great-grandfather, but it's not Stanley's great-grandfather's great-great-grandfather. great-grandfather. It's his great-grandfather's father. I'm sure that makes sense if you stop and think about it. The storm moved off farther west along with any hope of rain, but the image of the fist and the thumb remained in Stanley's head. Although, instead of lightning flashing behind the thumb, in Stanley's mind, the lightning was coming out of the thumb, as if it were the thumb of God. Yeah, you thought the surprises were done? So as we wrap up chapter 29, it is very interesting that Stanley does remember these stories, and it's interesting that as we get further and further along, these peaks, these little mini climaxes in each chapter are really starting to stand out. It does appear that Stanley is currently in the same place where his great-grandfather was. We know that Catherine Barlow, Kissing Kate Barlow, is in the area, obviously. We know that, a lot of these things are really starting to connect. So now we have potentially God's thumb. We're smart readers. Do you think it is God's thumb? But we can't talk about that here because it's going to happen soon. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure you do all the things that help a YouTube channel survive. Like, subscribe, click that bell. Please comment. Love having those conversations. And my kids are starving to talk about this book. They are loving it. So I hope you are loving it just as much. Have an amazing day. I will see you on the next page. Peace.